What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super video. It has been a hot minute. I know you guys have been eagerly waiting. Some of you probably got tired of waiting and just said, fuck this guy. But we have our backup camera here. Our good camera, we've been having issues. I'm not going to get into the details. We had our backup camera, had some issues with that too. So we have our backup, which, thanks to Dilly for letting us use this. Go to his YouTube channel, his Twitch, whichever, and just give him a nice little thank you. I've been wanting to do this deck profile, or a lot of these deck profiles, for a while. This is one of the ones that is really just kind of far out there and just kind of ass insane, and I love the shit out of it. It actually holds its own really well against a good number of meta decks. And it's easily one of my favorite that I've played. It's the most fun, despite the fact that I hate this kind of control-type deck. But we decided to bring back an old favorite leader with our favorite villain, Cell. Now, this leader has not seen any play at all in God knows how long. And we haven't even... Hell, we didn't even see a lot of people using Cell with the actual Cell support. Before he got limited. Everybody was using the Android 17. But the reason I like this leader, and you'll see as we go through the video, but once per turn you get to place a card under him and choose a battle card, 3 or less, and KO it. And so he doesn't have to really attack to do anything. He doesn't get to draw, which is okay. But you get to draw with 2 when you flip him over. And we get Ultimate Lifeform Cell. This is the side that really helps this deck shine. Although the front side does help you get the deck started, Ultimate Lifeform Cell really gets you where you want to go with the deck. You get to draw 2 cards by putting a card under it, get to remove 2 cards from underneath him, and KO any battle card your opponent controls. So a lot of control there. Obviously, Barrier kind of gets around that. But we're going to leave Barrier out of this for now because it is such a frustrating thing. Now, first up, and this is where the deck is already you're gonna go, what the hell? The first card we run in this weird-ass Mellow Yellow deck is 4 Frieza's Call. Now, you're probably wondering why the hell we're running Frieza's Call with the Cell leader. I promise, it'll make sense. Just go with it. So, most of you know what Frieza's Call does. Activate main, you can choose a Frieza's army, 2 or less from your deck, play it in rest mode. So, ideally, this is kind of what you're gonna play turn 1. There are other options, but this is your main turn 1 play. Now, if you happen to be going second, then one of the most ideal plays for turn 1 is going to be to bring out Frieza Biding His Time. 1 drop, 5k, not a big deal, but when you play him, you choose an opponent's battle card 2 or less, ignoring Barrier, switch it to rest mode. So if you go first, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get rid of one of their battle cards. And then, sure, he'll be in rest mode when he comes out, but then you can attack with the leader, assuming you don't want to just place a card from your hand underneath it to blow him up. So it gives you a little bit of control. This gives you some early game control anyways if you just hard cast him, and he's another yellow card, so he is energy to charge for that Frieza's Call. Now, this is where things get a little weird. Because we run Frieza's Call, we do run an exceptional number of Frieza's Army cards. One of the main cards that we're going to play with Frieza's Call, one of the main focuses of the deck, is Cheelai the Beautiful, the campaign rare from, I believe, Clash of Fates. She's a 2-cost, 15k. Once per turn, when one of your opponent's battle cards is KO'd, your opponent chooses a card in their hand, places it in the drop area. Now, this is both your turn and your opponent's turn, which is really nice. And thanks to your leader's Cell, you can pretty much trigger her ability every single turn without having to put in a whole lot of effort. Now, this card gets combined really well with a few other cards in the deck. One of them also would be Speedy Entrance Cheelai. So, when Cell goes and KOs a card, whether by attack or with his ability, he triggers Cheelai the Beautiful, but he also triggers Speedy Entrance Cheelai. She's a 5k blocker. You can only have 1 in play at a time, but when an opponent's battle card's KO'd and your leader's green, you can play her from your hand. So you can play this card for free. It gets you a free blocker out, which is definitely not bad, especially in this era where a lot of decks are all about getting out the big badass as fast as you can and just murdering your opponent. And what deck does that better than Shenron decks? Having a free blocker is a fantastic kind of defense against that. If she had Revenge, it'd be so much better, but we won't talk about King Vegeta's surprise attack. Now, another card that goes really well with this deck, and goes well with not only the Chi-Li's, but the Frieza's Call itself, is Speedy Partner Limo. He's a 2-cost 15k. We don't really care about how we get him out, because just when you play him, if there's a Chi-Li BR in your battle area, your opponent discards a card. So, if you play him with Frieza's Call, he's going to come out in rest mode, but it's not a big deal. They're still going to get the discard. If you hard cast him, still going to get the discard. And then you've got combo power, another 15k you can attack with. This deck is all about control, and a lot of these cards combo really well together. The last card to go along with all of the Frieza's Army support. Now this one can't be played with Frieza's Call, but it goes along with the Chi-Li and the Ultimate Lifeform Cell support. Is 4 Surprise Attack Frieza. 4-drop 15k with crit. Whenever a battle card would be KO'd, you can play this card from your hand. So, you're going to play... Basically, Cell's going to KO a card. It's going to trigger Chi-Li the Beautiful. Your opponent's going to discard a card. A card gets KO'd, it's going to trigger the blocker Chi-Li. She's going to come into play for free. It's going to trigger Surprise Attack Frieza. He's going to come into play for free. You're making your opponent discard cards. You're attacking them with crit damage. They're getting no cards to their hand, basically. And what better way to go along with preventing your opponent from keeping cards in their hand or adding them to their hand than with, in my personal opinion, I would say this is the second best Agent of Destruction. It's Android 13. 3-drop 20k with crit is not bad at all. A lot of times with this deck, because you control your opponent's hand so much, they don't keep cards in their hand. So you're not having to apply as much pressure, you're not having to play as many cards. So on your next turn, you can charge, you don't have to really play anything, and you can just do the activate main for 2 energy, KO a battle card, and then make your opponent discard a card. And then you've got 20k crit coming at them as well. This is a really good card for the deck. I wish there was a little bit more to do with it, but I felt like this was the best quote unquote bigger battle card to put in the deck. Again, this deck does a lot of control, and so your opponent doesn't have a whole lot of options left, and so you're not really forced to actually have to play a lot of bigger cards. You can afford to, swing with crit on Android 13, crit on the Frieza, and just do little damage here and there. Then, as if your opponent wasn't discarding enough, we run 4 Dark Temptation Toa. This allows you to give your leader an extra 5k, makes your opponent discard a card, and then you can combo with her to get her into the drop for an additional 5k, giving your leader a total of 25,000 before combo, or well, I guess technically after combo, excluding her, of course. I really like this card. I've loved this card ever since its release, and it's a super solid overwhelm card for any type of hand control deck. And if you can combo with her to get her in the drop to prepare your drop for another overwhelm on the next turn, this is easily, for me, in any hand control deck, it's a super solid staple card. Then, because we're playing Hand Destruction, we're playing Cell, which is an android. Of course, our super combo is going to be 4 Stout-Hearted Android 16. Instead of drawing a card, your opponent discards a card. Still gives you that additional 10,000 power, and looks super sexy. I hate that we have this one champion rare. I need to get a 4th foil to go with it, but I love this super combo. I think this is a great way to... Honestly, I think Android 16 was a great alternative super combo. Whereas Shugesh was a bit over the top. Android 16 is not. Your leader has to be a green android. So right now, there's not a lot of options for that. And making your opponent discard 1 card is not anywhere near as potent as Shugesh and all of the endless possibilities with his skill of playing any Saiyan 3 or less. Then for support, we added 2 Android 20 Vile Creator. I run this card for a few reasons. He's basically Champa, gives double strike for your leaders, but he's also green, so I can charge him if I need to, which is the upside, and he gives double strike as well. So mainly the only thing you're going to use him on is you can use him on Cell if you wanted to, or you can use him on the Android 13, and it's going to be 30,000 double strike crit, and that's a lot of double crit coming at you. So we run 2 of those just for support. He's not really needed much, but he's a good way to kind of get a finishing touch in there if your opponent is at 2 life, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to attack with 1 damage, and then you drop the double strike. Then, because we're running green, we got 4 Father-Son Kamehameha, still one of my favorite green cards to run. If choose one of your opponent's battle cards, the energy cost greater than or equal to your opponent's energy, and KO it. So, if they get out a bigger battle card than they should be allowed to have via Evolution or Union or Wish cards, this is a good way to deal with that. And for 1 energy, you really can't go wrong with that either. Then for negates, I kind of toyed with a few different options. I did have Shocking Death Ball in here, and I ended up taking it out for 4 Wrathful Charge. Still negates the attack, but you can KO one of your battle cards, which, as you saw, will have a lot of battle cards that, once they come out, they don't really have a whole lot of use after that. And then you can make your opponent discard a card. And so, since this is all about hand control, it's very easy to get your opponent down to little to no cards at all. Then lastly, my personal favorite, as far as any yellow support, is for Crusher Ball. Because if your opponent happens to play a card that might be dangerous to you, might be kind of a threat to you, you can just Crusher Ball him, put him in rest mode, and you're like, alright, I'm going to kill it next turn. Unless it happens to have barrier, you're just immediately going to murder it with Cell, murder it with Kamehameha, you know, whatever you might do. But this deck has worked really, really well for me. I didn't bother putting together a side deck. A lot of the games that we played didn't really need one. I did have a few successful matches. It had good matchups against Janemba. It had good matchups against the Black Mass Saiyan. It has good matchups against Wish because you're making your opponent discard everything. I mean, sure, they could discard the things they're going to wish, but eventually they're going to have to pitch the desire cards as well, and they're just not going to have anything to bring anything back. So it's a very gimmicky, cheeky deck, but somehow it works, and I just love the idea of getting to play Cell and Android support again without playing it in such a toxic way as dropping the 7-drop Cell. So, but that's going to do it for this deck profile. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and test it out for yourselves. It is a lot of fun. It's really weird to play it this way with all the Frieza support and stuff, but there's a lot of discarding and a lot of making your opponent not happy. I had a few successful matches against Lord Slug as well. That was a little less fun because then we were both killing each other's hand, but ultimately this deck was able to overpower it just because I have ways of getting out cards that can actually do stuff, whereas like his requires evolution or whatever, and the battle cards were just a little easier to keep on the board since I can just KO all of his stuff at any time that I choose. But let me know what you think. It's a lot of fun to play this deck, and if you guys have any suggestions or have any better card options for this deck, let me know in the comments below. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get the freak out of here, and we'll see you guys in the next video.